Hey folks, we're continuing our series of videos about 2015 as a whole in the board game arena. Many games we take a look at for our favorite games of all times, and one of the kinds of games that gets cut out are smaller games. Smaller games just sometimes aren't grandiose enough, they don't leave as big of an impression, and they don't often get on the top 10 games of the year list. But small games are important. They're easy to transport, they're easy to store, they're a cheaper price, and sometimes you just want to play a shorter, smaller game, although not all small games are short. But today we're going to be taking a look at my favorite 10 small games from 2015, with the caveat that I haven't played every game that came out in 2015, but I did play a lot, and here's my top 10. Number 10 is Mars Attacks 10-Minute Takedown, where the name is almost longer than the game itself. This is a game where you have a spaceship, which is a custom die, and you're going around destroying planets. You're flicking the die at different rings of planets that are on the table. That's pretty much the whole game. Flicking dice, going into planets, capturing those planets, and then trying to, what side your die lands on could possibly get you some bonus points. It's a fun, simple little game, comes in a very small container box that's easy to move around and transport. Flicking games are often big and take up a lot of room and are very expensive. This provides a lot of fun for a very cheap price. Number 9 is Ninja Camp. Ninja Camp is a game in which you're placing a deck of cards all over the table, different kinds of ninjas and different ninja cards maneuvering, and then you have these little pieces that are out on the board, and on your turn you're going to move one piece to another by playing a card from your hand. Once you move the ninja, the card it was on comes into your hand. So cards are disappearing from the table, causing there to be spaces and places where the ninjas, their movements can become more restrictive, and these cards are worth points. So you're taking cards for points and for the special maneuvers that they offer you. A simple, fun game, very reminiscent of Hey, That's My Fish, but I think I like this one better. Number 8 is Bottom of the Ninth. This is a 2-player baseball game in which it concentrates on just half of an inning. That very important bottom of the ninth inning, and you're trying to get the winning run, so one person plays the batters, the other person plays the pitchers. It's essentially a game where you're trying to outguess the other person with different custom cards with special abilities for the batters and the pitchers. It's not a very long game, but provides a nice little slice of some of the most exciting parts of a baseball game. Number 7 is Tides of Time. This 2-player game from Portal Games has pretty big cards with beautiful artwork, but there's only, I think, 16 or 18 cards in the game, not very many at all. And players, I'm usually not a huge fan of these quote-unquote micro games, but this one came across really well, as you're going to be drafting cards back and forth, and then playing these cards and trying to score the most points you possibly can over the course of a few rounds. Beautiful artwork helps out a lot, but just that whole, if I take that card, they'll take that card. Which card am I going to take just so they can't get it? But at the same time, I really want this combo. Some interesting effects. It is a very entertaining game. Number 6 is Mafia de Cuba. This is a social deduction game. Think Werewolf or Mafia or Resistance. But in this one, it's just a small box, and in this box, there's some poker chips and some little diamonds. And you will be playing a game where one person plays the Godfather, they pass this box around the table, and people are going to take things out of the box secretly, either aligning themselves with the Godfather or stealing from the Godfather, and the Godfather has to figure out which are the thieves based on all the things that people tell him, most of which are lies. Very easy, and the box itself is part of the game. Number 5 is Nevermore. Quoth the Raven. Yes, this is a game based on Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven, and it's basically just a card game where, again, drafting is involved, but you're trying to draft sets and get points, but there's also special cards to play on other people. I found that this one works really well with 3 players and has kind of a take that element to it, but does so in some strategic ways and doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it lasts just long enough with kind of a cool theme on top of that, Nevermore. Number 4 is One Night Revolution. Now, One Night Ultimate Werewolf came out and it was a big success, in which they took the idea of the game of Werewolf or Mafia and put it down to one night, where one night happens. Everyone then decides what goes on. It's very simple and easy. One Night Revolution did the same thing, but in the Resistance universe, And it adds some more enjoyment to the game. I think it adds a little bit more structure. It adds a little bit more where people can say, okay, if I did this and you did that and we did this, that all works together to prove this person is the spy. I liked it and thought it came together really well and supplanted actually One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Number 3 is Tiny Epic Galaxies. Tiny Epic Kingdoms, I thought, was a decent game. Tiny Epic Defenders, I thought, was a pretty bad game. So I wasn't really sure what I was going to think about Tiny Epic Galaxies, but this game does a great job at actually bringing out that word epic a little bit more. And you have spaceships that you're sending out and slowly building your star systems that you're going to give you points, but also give you more special abilities. It has a dice allotment system where you roll dice and then use those dice to do different actions. Some nice artwork. There really is a lot of game in a small box. And of all the games on my list, this is probably the most game that they managed to fit into the small thing here. So, I mean, I wouldn't have minded if the game was actually bigger, but for a small game, this thing has a pretty solid punch. Number 2 for me is Vault Wars. Vault Wars is a game, I think Storage Wars, that's what it's based on, but it's done in a fantasy setting where you have vaults where you know what's in that vault and everyone else is trying to bid on what's in it. They know maybe some of the stuff that's in it, but not all of it. Maybe different people know different things in the vault, which is very entertaining. Throw in a plethora of special powers and some good artwork. I found that this game was a pretty strong contender for this kind of genre and liked it a lot. And number 1 for me is Matcha. This is a 2-player card game in which you are assembling a tea set. That doesn't really sound that exciting, but I found the tenseness and the interesting choices that are in this selection as you go back and forth. You're both playing cards simultaneously with your opponent, but you're trying to play them in the right spot. You're trying to get a bunch of the same tokens or one of different tokens, and then you're also trying to figure out what your opponent's going to do. You have cards that are basically bluff cards that don't mean anything. The game is not very long, but I found it one of the most tense, fun 2-player games I've played in a long time, and the theme kind of came through there. We just, all right, let's relax and do a tea set. Pretty cool little game, Matcha. Those are my favorite 10 small games from the year. What are yours? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time for another video in the best of 2015.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.